Bernie. I made a video the other day talking about how I think Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, they must be lying about wealth tax because they don't understand what net worth means. And there are a lot of things I do not like about these two individuals. I used to be a big fan of Bernie, but I will tell you this. You know, back in 2016, Bernie wasn't talking about a lot of these things. And really, you know, in 2016 on the debate stage, when he started saying white people didn't know what it's like to be poor, that was a huge souring moment for me. And, you know, I've never been much more than just a milquetoast fence sitter. But now we have this. Border Sheriff warns Bernie Sanders' plan to abolish ICE would be a disaster. You know, I'm not an expert, but I'm going to have to agree, based on what I've read about Bernie Sanders' plan, it would be a disaster. He wants to put a moratorium on deportations, immediately allow 50,000 climate refugees into the country. Whoa, hold on. I got absolutely no problem with bringing on all of the refugees, all of them, every single one from all over the planet. Bring them all to the United States. But they apply. We figure out how many, you know, we can handle in terms of the economy, where they can be placed, whether or not they actually qualify for refugee status. And then by all means, yes, I think we're a wealthy nation who can help people. There's an interesting point that came up in my discussion with Sam Cedar where he said, I think everybody who should be allowed to be a refugee should be allowed in and all that stuff. And I think what was missed in the conversation is, well, yes. I actually think most Americans, even the staunchest Trump supporters who are concerned about the crisis, the migrant crisis, would agree. If you're a refugee, a legitimate refugee, and you apply, and we can see, yeah, bring them on in. The problem is, most of these people, I'm going to say it, they are not being forthcoming entirely, or they just don't qualify. I think for the most part, most people don't qualify. And we've seen some of the interviews where they genuinely believe they can just come here for no reason. There was an interview with one guy, and he said that he was told by nonprofits that Americans were welcoming people in to get jobs. Like, no, dude, that's not true. That's like the opposite of what Trump is doing. Trump is building a wall to keep people out. But refugees, yes. Now, I will say this. Trump, apparently there's something about, you know, Trump wants to make people pay a fee to apply for asylum. Now, that's questionable, because I will say, first, if you can, then it does make sense to pay to apply, because what do we have to pay for every single person who applies and the 90% who get rejected? But ultimately, I think it's impossible. Come on, man. You know, if somebody's actually, say, in Mexico and they're really fleeing violence and terror and stuff, you can't expect them to have money if they're up and fleeing. So I think ultimately that falls out. It doesn't work. Let's read the story, though. Let's read about Bernie going off the deep end. Senator Bernie Sanders, the socialist from Vermont, running for president in 2020, has a brilliant idea. Get rid of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency that enforces America's immigration laws and counters transnational crime. Yes, because I remember that one time that ICE stopped a bunch of traffickers. Can't be having that, can we? Guess not. That's a terrible idea, according to one law enforcement official on the border. Sheriff Mark Daniels, who protects the border between Arizona and Mexico, said if the senator's plan were enacted, it would lead to disaster. If we don't have a secure border in this country, we will have a different country. We need to stand united, and the plan that Senator Sanders is putting forward is a disaster for this country, he said on Fox News. You know what I'm going to do? Because one of the criticisms I got is that Tim Pool often agrees with conservatives on immigration. No. No, let me just say for the record, I 100% disagree with every single conservative, every single one. The only person I agree with on the border is Barack Obama, deporter-in-chief. That's right. What did he deport? Like 3 million people in his tenure? Barack Obama, who wanted more border security. And I also agree with Bernie Sanders, who recently said, we can't have open borders because there's too many poor people. I'm sorry. None of it makes sense, does it? Because now Barack Obama's a Republican. You had Hillary Clinton talking about a border wall. You had all the Democrats talking about a border wall. Now all of a sudden it's a conservative position. What is going on? My position hasn't changed. And I think Obama was going a bit too harsh. But now I am agreeing with conservatives? Okay, you know what, man? I don't have to tell you. Y'all are nuts. The media is like, who's left, who's right? You know what? I'm just going to say, if I agree with Hillary Clinton on building a secure border barrier, does that make me conservative? I mean, I guess, because no one likes Hillary. But what about Bernie Sanders a few months ago when he said, we can't allow all these people in the country? I guess he changed his mind. Daniel said Sanders' plan would be like a state governor abolishing all sheriff and police chiefs. It's no different at the federal level. The sheriff's comments came after members of a powerful drug cartel in Mexico massacred 9 Americans, including women and children. I gotta say, like, bad timing, Bernie. But you know what, man? Bernie could. He could do this. I mean, he runs the executive branch, so he absolutely could break down ICE. I don't know exactly how it works, but I believe Bernie could snap his fingers, essentially, and be like, okay, you're done. Open the gates. Now, of course, whenever Trump tries to do it, you know, they say, Ninth Circuit Court, we're going to challenge you, we're going to block you, and then Trump ends up losing. So they say, on the campaign trail for the Democratic nomination, Sanders touts a plan to break up ICE, end all deportations of those illegal in the U.S., and grant full welfare access to illegal immigrants. He also wants to allow at least 50,000 climate migrants into the U.S. Okay. We already have a hard enough time paying for our veterans to get health care, to get taken care of, right? Wasn't that a big fiasco where it's like our veterans are not being taken care of? I know, I got an idea. Let's extend all welfare benefits to non-citizens, invite 50,000 non-citizens into the country, and give them welfare too. We can't afford that. You know what's crazy to me? The deficit's insane right now, and they're proposing plans while criticizing Trump over the deficit. Let me say that one more time for you. Jen Guger of the Young Turks, I think it was him, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, forgive me. Said something like, the Republicans have doubled the deficit. They don't actually care about, small government and a balanced budget. And I'm like, are you criticizing Trump over running up the deficit while simultaneously advocating for allowing illegal immigrants access to welfare benefits and creating a $52 trillion Medicare for all plan? What do you think's going to happen to the deficit? And I actually had someone on the left argue to me that we can do Medicare for all through deficit spending. And I'm like, what? That's going to drive mass inflation. No one will be able to retire. They're going to keep pumping money nonstop. Look, man, it sounds nice. But I'll tell you what the truth is. Back in the day, maybe even 10 years ago, Bernie Sanders would have got away with this. Bernie Sanders could have gone to a Latino rally. I'm sorry, Latinx rally. That's the word the progressives want me to use, right? And he could have said, I'm going to do all these things. No more deportations. Healthcare for non-citizens because it's a human right. No one would have known he said it. The people in the community would be like, wow, and they'd go home and then they'd talk about it with their friends, and that was the end of it. Now we all have smartphones. Remember in 2016, something happened where like Hillary Clinton was in Alabama or Arkansas, and she started talking with a southern drawl, like a little light one. She's like, I'm here, y'all. Gonna be campaigning for y'all. And it's like, dude, Hillary, you're a New York, liberal. We know how you talk. See, back in the day, you could do this. You could go to these communities and say all these beautiful things. So Sanders goes to these communities and says, we're gonna end deportations. Your family will not be separated. And it speaks to people who are actually like, yeah, I'd like to bring my family here. Bernie then walks away. How much you want to bet? If Bernie gets the nomination, which I don't think he will, because they do not want, it's going to be Warren probably at this point. We'll see. He's going to backpedal in 2 seconds. You know what? I was wrong. We can't end deportations. Because regular Americans aren't going to vote for that. It's a fact. And I'll tell you this, man. There was the video I did the other day. Sorry, I have allergies. It happens. They're bragging now, a lot of people on the left, about how Virginia is flipping blue because Trump is off-putting. And it's like, sure, whatever, but those blue districts that vote, those districts that voted Democrat, they're moderates, man. So you think Bernie's going to win on this message? No way. Bernie's going to do a complete 180. He's going to be like, no, I didn't mean it. The problem with the activist base of the Democrats is they've been driven insane by the media. The media has really tainted the mind of the left because they're chasing after this woke rage bait, creating a small sect of extreme activists of the far left who say that when they walk up to you, they're like, hi, my name is Bill, he, him. That, please don't clap. It's off-putting. That's the weird fringe element that's being grown. And some of these people are getting elected, but regular Americans ain't all about that. Regular Americans do not care if you clap. They care about if their kid's going to have food, go to college, make something of themselves. So I tell you this, what American is sitting here going, why, I completely agree with ending deportations. No, you're not offering anything to an American. To some, I guess, maybe an American with family that's here illegally, but the average person is going to be like, dude, when you campaign for doing things for not Americans, why would I vote for you? Let's rewind. You see the video I did just before this, the segment previous, where I talked about Tariq Nasheed? He said he agreed with Trump. Trump's offering something to the black community. What does this offer to the black community or to the American community at all? My understanding is Bernie has done really, really bad with the black community as well. So my question is this. It's kind of like what Bill Maher was asking about. He said, why are you offering up these crazy positions? Are you concerned about losing the illegal immigrant vote to Trump? Guess what? They don't vote. So why are you pandering to them? You're not going to gain anything from it. The reality is, it's a virtue signal to the activist base of the left. He doesn't actually care about these people, these climate migrants. No, he's trying to get all the far lefties to vote for him so he wins the primary. Come the general, Bernie is going to walk this back hard. He has to. Could you imagine a regular middle American being like, I'm not going to vote to give my money away? That makes no sense. Like when we pay into the government, we pay taxes. First of all, people hate doing that. People don't want new taxes, even when it goes to their own programs. You know, Americans barely want to pay taxes, okay? But at least they're willing to when it comes to funding their local communities and programs they know will benefit them. People begrudgingly pay taxes because they're like, well, you know, we got to pay for this, that, and this. What do you think is going to happen if you're like, we want to raise your taxes to give that guy over there money who's not actually American? He's going to be like, well, hold on, dude. I already don't want to pay this much in taxes. Now you're going to add more people? Nah. So I probably should have read this, but we'll keep it short. The point is, our system can't sustain endless growth. I'll quote Bernie Sanders. There are too many poor people in this world. Our system couldn't handle it. Something that of a paraphrase, okay? That was Bernie. What is this? Here's the thing. I'll tell you exactly what it is. The Democrats know to maintain attention, they have to keep one-upping each other. So Bernie comes out rather reasonably, but then Beto comes out and just Beto O'Rourke was the Leroy Jenkins of the Democrats. Tear down the border wall. Take everyone's guns. It's like, dude, stop. Beto tried to charge full speed in front of everybody, and he made everybody wipe. If you understand what I'm trying to say, he got the whole party of Democrats negatively impacted by Leroy Jenkinsing into the arena, and now Bernie has no choice. If he wants to up the ante and get that press attention, he's got to go even crazier. Yes, we'll abolish ICE. No, dude, you are losing it, man. So I think, you know what? I think we're seeing a blue wave at the local level, and I actually think it's not all bad. I'm pretty upset with the Democrats for a lot of reasons, but I'm not thrilled with one party control. You know what I mean? So I take a lot of issue with a lot of what the Democrats are doing. But I kind of do like the idea that there will be a struggle within government between, opposing factions, because it means no one person can just have unilateral power. However, big however, it seems like the power struggle we're seeing today is destructive and not productive and will likely just result in a collapse in some capacity or a giant scar on the system that can never be mended. So I'm worried about that. I'll leave it there. Stick around. I got one more segment coming up for you in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.